Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoilery gush for This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. As I said, this video will have spoilers in it, so if you've not read this book, go ahead and check out my spoiler-free review, which will link on the screen. So I adored this book. I've mentioned before how Victoria Schwab's books, I either love them or I'm really disappointed by them, so I was skeptical about going into this book, like I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel, but so far her YA books I've consistently loved, so I'm getting more hope with her because I do love most of her premises. I just didn't really like A Darker Shade of Magic, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna give that series another shot, but after this I'm more inclined to because I just loved this. So first I'm gonna talk about the world and the monsters. I just adore the whole idea, like just the whole like political discussion about that, like where you have this really fun, interesting book, but you're talking about violence and crime and how that impacts the world physically. Like it's such a cool idea, especially with America just having all these like violent shootings especially. It's like if we had this happen, like this is how society would turn out, honestly, because it's just like, it's crazy. And honestly, we probably have more than just 3 tsunai, if we're being real, because there'd be a ton more because we have shootings like every other day. It's ridiculous. So I really love the idea of the different kinds of monsters, like the Korsai being like the more kind of base animalistic monsters was really cool because you'd think that those monsters would be the worst for the worst kinds of crimes, so they're just for not even death, they're just for violence. And then you have like the kind of vampiric monsters for the murders, and then you have August and his family with the Tsunai being like the monsters that are going to kind of undo all of that, like with their song, and like that they can kill like sinners and they can see someone's soul. Like all of that is so cool. It's so cool. Next, we talk about the characters. Obviously, I loved Kate. I loved everything about her. Like as soon as she's like blowing up and starting a church on fire and just being kicked out of all these prep schools, and just the whole thing with her wanting to show her dad that she can be part of the family, like that whole needing to be accepted thing and needing like just friends really and needing a family, and that being juxtaposed against August having like a very close-knit family was really cool. And I just really liked her as a character. She's someone that I was pulling for the entire time. Like she's brutal and savage because she has to be in this world. You have to be. And she's so smart and she's cunning and she's learned a lot and she developed so much because at the beginning you have her trying to be so much a part of her family and then realizing like her family isn't all that she kind of thought it was, and her, you know, due to her trauma she kind of covered up how she was reacting to things when she was younger and she was trying to be a different person than she was, and she realizes that like her mom did things for her and she didn't even realize it, and like all of this crazy stuff. So I really liked all the things that she went through and the character that she turned out to be at the end, and I'm just really looking forward to more with her because I can't imagine how far she's going to go in the next book after everything she went through in this one. I also really loved August, like sweet little baby August. I just love the thing that she does with this book where it's like, who's the monster really? Like I love that theme anyway in general when you have like themes with like science fiction or horror or something and you're like, are the aliens or are the monsters like really the monsters or are the people? Like that's just a theme that I really enjoy. So the fact that he was just like a sweet little cinnamon roll, I just loved him, and I love what he went through as well. Like he grew a lot as well, and so she's kind of getting a little lighter and he's kind of getting a little darker. Like he had to go through a lot as well and kind of become a new person. He's like, am I losing parts of my humanity? Like what's going on? What do I have to do to save the people I love? Do I have to become more monstrous in order to do that? Etc, etc. So I really enjoyed him as a character as well, and I love his family. Like I love how his parents were and how they like, you know, kind of raised him, but also his 2 siblings and the whole fact that the Tsunai are kind of a representation of whatever violence they were born out of. So the fact that his brother was very righteous and just very in your face because he came from a religious cult, like mass suicide, that makes sense. And the fact that his sister was a little all over the place because she's from a bombing, and then he was the way he was just because of being from like a child shooting, like a school shooting. Like it's such a good idea, and I just love his sister so much. Like I want a whole novella from his sister, and I don't typically like novellas. I don't want novellas, but I just want to know more about her because I find her so fascinating, and I just wish we had more of her. And I was really worried when they were like, oh, she died. I'm like, no, she didn't. And I'm so glad that she didn't actually die because I just adore her and I just want more with her. And now that Leo is gone, I hope that we get a little bit more, but I'm also really worried because now, let's talk about plot stuff. So now the whole ending, I wasn't quite a fan of the villain things. Like I liked the villain aspects and I knew that Leo was involved in some way and her dad was kind of like all on board with all of this, but now we have this new kind of monster that's kind of appeared from August's actions, from her actions and stuff like that. So what does that mean exactly, and what's going to happen? So I like that idea of antagonist a little bit more than the original antagonist in here. So it didn't quite hit the mark for me in here, but I'm looking forward to what happens in the next book with them, and I just love like their friendship that's now formed and everything, but really looking forward to just like even the plot element stuff and like what are going to be the ramifications of this. Now we're only down to really one functioning Tsunai. You know, his sister doesn't really have her voice anymore because she almost died, like, oh my god. And I don't know what's gonna happen. So that is it for my spoilery gush of this Savage song. I feel like I'm forgetting stuff, but I also just really can't quite talk about all of it because I'm still just so like, it's so good. So comment down below, let me know what you thought of this Savage song and if you have any hopes for our dark duet. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm very excited. It's so dark and gritty and wonderful, and I just love it. So thank you all for watching. I'll see all you guys soon. Bye!